And speaking of technology,
welcome to the Metaverse.
It's your favorite topic, Basil. It's the Metaverse.
Huzzah.
Geospatialworld.net. Yeah. Ooh. The headline here. What is military metaverse? And how is it different from commercial metaverse? Oh, military metaverse. And I like the header image here. It's like a guy playing, what is that? Looks like, what's that game with the guns? I sound like
the game with the guns. I sound like playing Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Something.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to think. Yeah, all these military guys in their camo gear, sitting on computers playing.
Yeah, if this is what the military is going to be like, I think I could.
Yeah,
I think I could handle that.
Yeah, fit right in.
Just sit at a laptop all day and play Call of Duty.
Yeah, it says here. Let's see. Innovations on military side is a microcosm for what could become of the metaverse, feels Pete Morrison, CCO at BIS or BISIM or BISM.
I love that. You know, we got it. Oh, you're making a sort of digital universe that kids will spend most of their time in, and is going to revolutionize the way that human beings interact with each other in the world. Let's take the inspiration from the military. Yay.
For years, different military programs have worked to combine, quote, models, simulations, people, and real equipment into a common representation of the world, end quote. The U.S. Army has established the STE cross-functional team to develop a, quote, common synthetic environment for simulations and training. Pete Morrison, CCO at BISM, believes this military innovation is a microcosm for what could become the metaverse. Quote, a military metaverse will focus on training, experimentation, and mission rehearsal. The fundamental difference to other commercial metaverses will be that it aims to deliver a high-fidelity digital twin of the real world. Mm-hmm. BISM, or Bohemia Interactive Simulations.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Has been focused on the under the hood of developing the military metaverse, helping different technologies on separate terrain data interact more seamlessly. The company is involved with both the U.S. Army STE and UK Mod SSE, converting its military simulations to run on new scalability architectures. It also provides its flagship product, VBS4, and
Vacation Bible School?
Vacation Bible School 4. And yeah, they're getting them young, recruiting them young. VBS Blue IG. What is that? The Vacation Bible School Blue Instagram? What is going on here? For training interaction within the military metaverse. Further, BISM's Mantle Enterprise Terrain Management Platform allows developers to import, manage, combine, procedurally enhance, and stream high-fidelity, geo-specific terrain into military or enterprise metaverses.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, this new terrain technology is already commercially available and will address some of the roadblocks to the military metaverse by helping move procedural generation onto the cloud. And then it goes into the interview, the back and forth between this guy and the outlet here, which we won't go through here, but there's to nail down the point. Here, the question was, you say military innovation is a microcosm for what could become the metaverse. Could you elaborate? And of course, he says, ultimately, the military needs a digital twin of the Earth with real world fidelity and real world density. And, we always boast, Basil, what is up with this spammer? I cannot block the spammer. I've put him in the Restream block list like 4 times and it keeps coming back.
I've done it too. It's a different guy in the chat, by the way, for those who are just listening to the podcast.
Yeah,
There's
sorry.
a spammer in the chat, but he keeps coming back with a different name.
Yeah. Okay. So, we often part jokingly, but also, just for fun, talk, but also accurately in a sense too. We talk about what we spoke on years ago and how it's all coming to the public front now. And, how we were ahead of the game and talking about certain topics. And the metaverse itself was something that we didn't call it the metaverse at the time, but we did an episode almost exactly 10 years ago. A decade ago, Basil. Wow, this is a long time ago.
What was the date on it?
August 31st, 2012 was when Canary Cry Radio episode 25 was published. And the title of that episode the Sentient World Simulation.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the idea of creating a digital twin in this digital virtual world that can become sort of a testing ground for what could take place in the real meat space.
Yeah, and it included making basically a perfect representation of the Earth, a perfect digital representation of every person alive, including using all of their data to sort of empower an AI version of them. So basically recreate the world as it exists, the entire world as it exists now, but in a simulated digital fashion. And that way you can, throw different circumstances at the world and get a fairly good idea about how the world would react. And not just the world, but even individual people, countries, businesses, things like that.
I wonder if they plugged in the Pelosi simulation.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, well, I mean, things can go.
It does bump up against what we've sort of always had as a working sort of thesis, working system, working ideas, that by the time we hear about these things, somebody high up is already using them regularly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's hilarious. Now this is just some company's business plan is to do the exact thing that a couple of crazy conspiracy theorist podcasters talked about in 2012.
Yeah, and we actually sourced the 2005 Department of Defense I think paper. Yeah, there's a paper in here. I don't know if the link is still active. But the other thing to point out, this was the episode where you did the episode art, and it's literally the exact thing that we started seing when coronavirus, the COVID-19 started to get really, spread around the world, where they had these big red blotches and bubbles
all over. Map with the pins, the little map pins all over the place.
Yeah. So anyway, we were ahead of the game, man.
Oh, no. I mean, it just says it right there. It's like literally. And the timing is good, too, because, to really make headway on a company and a technology like this, you would have had to start about 10 years ago. And it's like these guys listened to our episode and said, hey, that's actually a pretty good idea, and started it up. Along these lines, I put a link in there, Gons.
Okay.
For somebody sent me this thread, which was very interesting, and I'm going to thank them right now.
Twitter threads.
We have become UCC at Chewinporg on Twitter. Okay. Sent us this thread. Thank you very much. I wasn't planning on bringing it to the show, but it fits into this perfectly. And this is kind of a thread, a breakdown on a company called Elbit Systems. It's from a Twitter account called the Mapping Project, and basically it's this Elbit Systems, this company who is flying drones all over the world, basically, and is mapping out everything, making a perfect digital representation down to sort of the ground level. And I believe it's an Israeli company. Yeah, Elbit Systems is Israel's largest weapons developer. As of 2015, Elbit was supplying 85% of Israel's total UAS, unmanned aircraft systems, or drones. Indeed, Elbit's website has boasted that its Hermes 450 drone is the backbone of Israel's fleet.
Hermes, like Hermes Trismegistus. Or Toth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's an occult reference there.
So again, we were talking about the Israeli, sort of technology space being the biggest, or maybe not the biggest, but it's kind of like a dark horse industry where they develop the most intense technologies that, as we see it, sort of make up the backbone, not just of Israel's military, but of the sort of beast system as a whole. And so, you've got this Israeli company that is mapping everything all the time, and that could be used for the metaverse, military metaverse, then turning into the sentient world simulation that can be used by elite lizard people to plan out our future. It's really coming all together.
Well, it's got a list.
Nice.
It's got a list of governments that have purchased Elbit's battle-proven products. You got Brazil,
it's
Chile,
all the big ones.
Philippines, South Korea, India, Myanmar, Colombia, Honduras. Yeah, this is a big long list.
Azerbaijan. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Resistance against Elbit. There's some people resisting it.
I'm glad the military is working on, making a supercomputer simulation of the entire world so they can train their soldiers in exactly how real individuals will respond to their tactics.
And this becomes sort of an Ender's Game situation where if you're in the metaverse and carrying out missions, you think it's training, but perhaps you have avatar robot, whatever, drones or whatever you want to call it out there in the real world doing things.
Yeah.
All right.
Good times, man.
Yeah.